If you've ever felt like you're standing in your own way, like the only thing keeping you from reaching your potential is, well, then today's video is going to be a game changer for you. We're diving deep into The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest, a powerful guide to overcoming self-sabotage and transforming your struggles into personal growth. This book is a must-read for anyone who's ever felt stuck, and today, I'm going to take you through all its key chapters and lessons. And if you're feeling inspired and want to grab a copy for yourself, I've dropped a link in the description below where you can get the book. Trust me, it's worth having in your collection. Before we jump in, make sure you hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs a little extra motivation, and don't forget to subscribe to Booksphere for more powerful book summaries just like this one. Ready to conquer the mountain that's holding you back? Let's get started. Chapter 1. The Mountain Is You. The first chapter sets the foundation for the book by introducing the powerful metaphor of the mountain as a representation of our internal struggles. This chapter explains that the obstacles we face in life are often not external, but are, in fact, reflections of the internal barriers we create for ourselves. Wiest encourages readers to view the challenges they face not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for self-transformation. Self-sabotage as an inner struggle. Wiest begins by explaining that self-sabotage is a common human behavior, often driven by fear, unresolved emotional pain, or limiting beliefs. These internal forces can manifest in various ways, such as procrastination, self-doubt, or negative habits, all of which prevent us from reaching our full potential. The mountain, in this metaphor, is not a physical entity or a set of external circumstances. It is the embodiment of our deepest fears, insecurities, and unhealed wounds that hold us back from achieving the life we want. The chapter encourages readers to understand that the only way to climb this mountain is to look inward. Wiest emphasizes that growth happens when we confront our fears head-on and take responsibility for our actions and thoughts. By recognizing that we are often our own worst enemy, we begin to see how much control we have over our progress. Understanding self-sabotage. Why do we do it? One of the most enlightening aspects of this chapter is the exploration of why we engage in self-sabotage. Wiest explains that self-sabotage is often a defense mechanism. When we approach moments of growth or opportunity, our subconscious mind sometimes perceives these changes as a threat. Even positive changes can feel uncomfortable because they pull us out of familiar patterns, and humans are wired to seek comfort and avoid discomfort, even when staying comfortable comes at the expense of personal growth. Wiest describes self-sabotage as a form of internal resistance that we create because deep down, we may feel unworthy of success or fear the responsibility that comes with it. For example, we might delay working on an important project because we fear the potential judgment or failure that could come with putting ourselves out there. On the surface, it seems like procrastination or laziness, but deep down, it's a protective mechanism to avoid emotional discomfort. The power of self-awareness. The chapter stresses the importance of self-awareness in overcoming self-sabotage. Recognizing that we are sabotaging ourselves is the first step to breaking the cycle. Wiest encourages readers to reflect on their thoughts, habits, and behaviors that may be contributing to their struggles. Are there areas of your life where you are holding yourself back because of fear or insecurity? Are you avoiding something that could help you grow because it feels too difficult or unfamiliar? By becoming more self-aware, we can start to see our mountain clearly for what it is, a collection of fears, beliefs, and emotional baggage that we've accumulated over time. The key is to realize that this mountain doesn't exist to defeat us. It exists to teach us. Each struggle we face is an opportunity to learn more about ourselves and to grow stronger. The mountain is there to show us the areas in our lives that need attention and healing. Overcoming the mountain. To overcome the mountain, we suggest that we need to shift our mindset. Instead of viewing our challenges as barriers, we should see them as invitations to evolve. The real transformation begins when we stop blaming external circumstances for our problems and take responsibility for our own lives. The mountain is not something to be feared, but something to be understood and embraced. The chapter concludes by encouraging readers to accept the journey ahead. Climbing the mountain won't be easy, but it will be worth it. By addressing the emotional wounds and fears that lie at the heart of self-sabotage, we can move beyond the mountain and unlock our true potential. Chapter 2. The Habit of Self-Sabotage. In this chapter, author dives deeper into self-sabotage, exploring it as a habitual behavior. This chapter focuses on why self-sabotage becomes a persistent pattern in our lives and how we unconsciously keep ourselves stuck in these negative cycles. Self-sabotage is not a one-time occurrence, but a habit that we develop over time due to the familiarity and comfort it offers, even when it is destructive. Self-sabotage as a comfort zone. Paradoxically, self-sabotage often feels comfortable. This is because humans are wired to seek out familiarity, even if that familiarity is unhealthy. For many of us, the negative behaviors we engage in, whether it's procrastination, negative self-talk, or avoiding challenges, become so ingrained in our daily lives that they feel normal. Self-sabotage provides a strange sense of security because it allows us to avoid change, which can be scary or uncomfortable. For example, staying in a job that doesn't fulfill you might seem easier than risking the uncertainty of looking for something better. Or continuing unhealthy habits, like avoiding exercise or indulging in junk food, might feel comforting because it doesn't require the discipline or discomfort that comes with making healthier choices. Self-sabotage, in these cases, acts as a protective mechanism to keep us safe within our comfort zone. The cycle of self-sabotage. Wiest emphasizes that once self-sabotage becomes a habit, it creates a cycle that is hard to break. This cycle often starts with a trigger, something that makes you feel uncomfortable, vulnerable, or afraid. Instead of confronting this trigger or pushing through it, the brain defaults to self-sabotaging behaviors to ease the discomfort. For instance, if you have a fear of public speaking, you might avoid opportunities to speak up in meetings or present in front of others. This avoidance might feel like a relief in the moment, but over time, it reinforces the fear and limits your ability to grow. The more you avoid the discomfort, the more self-sabotage becomes a default response. The cycle continues. The more you engage in self-sabotaging behavior, the more stuck you feel. The hidden payoff of self-sabotage. One of the most interesting ideas Wiest presents in this chapter is the concept of the hidden payoff of self-sabotage. Even though self-sabotaging behaviors are harmful, they often provide some form of immediate gratification or relief. For example, procrastination offers temporary relief from the anxiety of starting a big task. Overeating might soothe feelings of stress or loneliness, and staying in a toxic relationship might provide a sense of familiarity, even if it's unhealthy. Author encourages readers to ask themselves, what is the hidden payoff of my self-sabotaging behaviors? By identifying the short-term rewards these habits provide, we can begin to understand why we cling to them, even when we know they are not in our best interest. Breaking the habit of self-sabotage. Breaking the cycle of self-sabotage requires developing new habits that align with our long-term goals rather than our immediate desires. Author suggests that self-awareness is the first step toward breaking these patterns. When we catch ourselves engaging in self-sabotage, we need to pause and ask, what am I trying to avoid? What fear or discomfort am I running from? Once we become aware of the triggers and the hidden payoffs, we can begin to replace self-sabotaging behaviors with healthier responses. This might mean embracing discomfort, leaning into fear, or pushing through resistance. Ultimately, breaking the habit of self-sabotage requires us to shift from seeking short-term comfort to pursuing long-term growth. Chapter 3. Why We Self-Sabotage. In this chapter, Wiest goes even deeper into the psychology of self-sabotage by explaining the why behind it. She examines the root causes of self-sabotaging behaviors, providing readers with a deeper understanding of why we hold ourselves back. This chapter reveals that self-sabotage is often driven by unresolved emotional pain, fear, and deeply ingrained beliefs about ourselves. Fear of failure. One of the most common reasons for self-sabotage is the fear of failure. Wiest explains that people often avoid pursuing their goals because they are afraid of what will happen if they don't succeed. This fear of failure can manifest in procrastination, avoidance, or perfectionism. For many, the idea of failing is so terrifying that they would rather not try at all. By avoiding taking risks, they avoid the possibility of failure, but in doing so, also avoid the chance to succeed. Wiest argues that the fear of failure is often rooted in our self-worth. If we tie our sense of value to our achievements, failing at something can feel like a blow to our identity. To overcome this, she encourages readers to redefine their relationship with failure. Instead of seeing failure as something to be feared, we should see it as an opportunity for learning and growth. Failure is not the opposite of success, but a necessary part of the process. Fear of success. Interestingly, Wiest also explains that the fear of success can be just as paralyzing as the fear of failure. While it might seem counterintuitive, many people sabotage themselves because they are afraid of the responsibilities and expectations that come with success. For example, someone might be afraid that if they succeed in their career, they will be expected to maintain that level of performance or that success will isolate them from others. Fear of success can lead to self-sabotage through behaviors like underachievement, downplaying one's abilities, or avoiding opportunities for growth. Wiest emphasizes that this fear is often rooted in a belief that we are not worthy of success, or that success will lead to a loss of control in our lives. Unresolved trauma. Another critical reason for self-sabotage is unresolved trauma. Wiest explains that past experiences, particularly those that were emotionally painful or traumatic, can have a lasting impact on how we see ourselves and the world around us. If we have been hurt in the past, our brain may develop self-sabotaging behaviors as a way to protect us from being hurt again. For example, someone who experienced rejection in a previous relationship might sabotage future relationships by pushing people away before they can get too close. This behavior stems from a desire to avoid the pain of rejection, even if it means sabotaging a potentially healthy relationship. Limiting beliefs. Finally, Wiest addresses the role of limiting beliefs in self-sabotage. Limiting beliefs are deeply held convictions that we develop over time, often based on past experiences or societal conditioning. These beliefs shape how we view ourselves and what we think is possible for us. For example, if you believe that you are not worthy of love or success, you will subconsciously act in ways that reinforce that belief. Limiting beliefs are often invisible to us because they feel so ingrained in our identity. To overcome self-sabotage, we suggest that we must challenge these limiting beliefs and replace them with more empowering narratives. This involves questioning the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what we are capable of achieving. Chapter 4. Getting Out of Your Own Way. In the fourth chapter, Brianna Wiest focuses on practical strategies for getting out of your own way and breaking the patterns of self-sabotage. Now that the reader understands the root causes of self-sabotage, this chapter is about taking actionable steps to transform those behaviors into growth and progress. Embracing discomfort. One of the central messages of this chapter is that growth requires embracing discomfort. Wiest explains that we sabotage ourselves because we seek comfort and avoid situations that make us feel vulnerable or fearful. However, the key to overcoming self-sabotage is learning to be comfortable with discomfort. When we confront uncomfortable emotions such as fear, anxiety, or uncertainty, we grow stronger and build resilience. Wiest emphasizes that discomfort is a natural part of change and personal development. Instead of avoiding it, we need to lean into it. She suggests that we should see discomfort as a signal that we are moving in the right direction. It's often a sign that we are stepping out of our comfort zone and into new territory, which is where real growth happens. The importance of small, consistent actions. Another key point in this chapter is the power of small, consistent actions. Wiest explains that overcoming self-sabotage doesn't require making drastic changes overnight. In fact, trying to do too much at once can often lead to more sabotage because it overwhelms the brain. Instead, she encourages readers to focus on small, manageable steps that build momentum over time. These small actions might include setting daily goals, practicing mindfulness, or committing to small habits that align with long-term goals. Wiest emphasizes the importance of consistency. Even small actions, when done consistently over time, can lead to significant transformations. Building a new identity. Wiest also introduces the concept of identity transformation. She explains that much of self-sabotage is rooted in our old identity, the person we believe ourselves to be based on past experiences and limiting beliefs. To get out of our own way, we need to start creating a new identity that aligns with the person we want to become. This involves letting go of the old stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what we are capable of. Instead of focusing on past failures or limitations, we need to start visualizing and embodying the future version of ourselves who has already overcome these challenges. This mental shift helps us break free from self-sabotaging patterns and opens the door to new possibilities. Accountability and support. Wiest stresses the importance of accountability in breaking self-sabotaging habits. Going it alone can be difficult, especially when old patterns are deeply ingrained. Having someone to hold you accountable, whether it's a friend, mentor, or coach, can make a significant difference in staying on track. She also encourages building a support system of people who are aligned with your goals and values. Surrounding yourself with positive influences, people who inspire and challenge you, can help you maintain momentum. These individuals can offer guidance, encouragement, and honest feedback when you need it most. Chapter 5. How to Stop Self-Sabotaging. In this chapter, Brianna Wiest offers specific techniques and mindset shifts to stop self-sabotaging behaviors once and for all. This chapter provides practical tools to help readers identify when they are falling back into sabotage patterns and how to interrupt those behaviors. Recognizing self-sabotage in the moment. One of the first steps in stopping self-sabotage is learning to recognize when it's happening in real time. Wiest explains that self-sabotage often starts subtly, with small thoughts or actions that seem harmless, but eventually snowball into more significant setbacks. For example, it might begin with delaying a task for just a few minutes, but that delay turns into hours or even days of procrastination. Wiest suggests practicing mindfulness to become more aware of these moments. By paying attention to our thoughts and emotions, we can catch ourselves in the act of self-sabotage and make a conscious choice to act differently. She encourages readers to pause and ask themselves, what am I feeling right now? Am I acting out of fear, insecurity, or self-doubt? This self-awareness is the first step toward breaking the cycle. Rewiring negative thought patterns. Another critical part of stopping self-sabotage is rewiring negative thought patterns. Wiest explains that our thoughts shape our reality, and if we are constantly thinking negative, self-defeating thoughts, we will continue to engage in self-sabotaging behaviors. To change this, we need to become aware of the negative narratives we tell ourselves and start replacing them with more empowering beliefs. For example, instead of thinking, I'm not good enough to succeed, we can reframe that thought to, I'm learning and growing, and I'm capable of success. This doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending that everything is perfect, but it does mean shifting our focus from limitations to possibilities. Wiest encourages readers to practice affirmations and positive self-talk as a way to rewire the brain for success. Over time, these new thought patterns will replace the old, self-sabotaging ones. Breaking the fear loop. Fear is one of the primary drivers of self-sabotage, and in this chapter, Wiest explains how to break the fear loop. The fear loop occurs when we allow fear to dictate our actions or inaction, which leads to more fear and reinforces self-sabotaging behaviors. For example, if you're afraid of failing at a new project, you might avoid starting it altogether. This avoidance creates more anxiety about the project, which feeds the fear loop. Wiest suggests confronting fear head-on by taking small, manageable steps toward what scares us. When we face our fears in small doses, we build confidence and prove to ourselves that we are capable of handling difficult situations. Over time, this helps to break the fear loop and reduce the power that fear has over us. self-compassion, and forgiveness. Finally, Wiest highlights the importance of self-compassion in the process of overcoming self-sabotage. Many people sabotage themselves because they are overly critical or harsh on themselves. They hold themselves to impossibly high standards and then punish themselves when they fall short. This creates a cycle of shame and self-blame that leads to even more sabotage. Wiest emphasizes that the key to breaking this cycle is practicing self-compassion. Instead of beating yourself up for past mistakes or setbacks, it's important to forgive yourself and treat yourself with kindness. Self-compassion doesn't mean excusing negative behaviors, but it does mean acknowledging that you are human and that growth is a process. By being gentle with yourself, you create the emotional space needed to heal and move forward. Chapter 6. Building Emotional Intelligence. In this chapter, Brianna Wiest delves into the concept of emotional intelligence and its critical role in overcoming self-sabotage. Emotional intelligence refers to the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions, as well as the emotions of others. Wiest explains that self-sabotage is often the result of poorly managed emotions, which lead to destructive behaviors. This chapter is about learning how to build emotional intelligence to create a more balanced and empowered life. Understanding emotional triggers. Wiest starts by discussing the importance of identifying emotional triggers. Emotional triggers are experiences, thoughts, or situations that cause an intense emotional reaction, often leading to self-sabotaging behaviors. These triggers might be related to past trauma, unresolved fears, or deeply ingrained insecurities. For example, feelings of inadequacy may be triggered by a stressful work project, leading to procrastination as a way to avoid the discomfort. The key to building emotional intelligence is recognizing when you are being triggered and understanding what emotions are at play. We suggest that instead of reacting impulsively when triggered, we should pause and reflect on the emotion we're experiencing. This allows us to respond with more intention rather than falling back into self-sabotaging habits. Emotional regulation. Once we recognize our emotional triggers, the next step is learning how to regulate those emotions. Emotional regulation is the ability to manage and control our emotional responses, even in challenging situations. Wiest explains that many people turn to self-sabotaging behaviors because they don't know how to handle difficult emotions like fear, anger, or anxiety. For instance, someone might use alcohol, overeating, or avoidance as a way to cope with stress. To build emotional regulation, Wiest encourages readers to practice mindfulness and emotional awareness. Mindfulness helps us stay present and grounded in the moment, making it easier to observe our emotions without being overwhelmed by them. By staying mindful, we can avoid reacting impulsively and instead choose a healthier response to our emotions. Empathy and self-compassion. Another key component of emotional intelligence is empathy, both for others and for ourselves. Wiest explains that empathy allows us to understand and connect with the emotions of others, which helps us build stronger relationships and reduce conflicts. However, she also stresses the importance of self-empathy or self-compassion. When we are hard on ourselves, we are more likely to fall into self-sabotage because we feel unworthy of success or happiness. Practicing self-compassion involves treating ourselves with kindness and understanding, especially when we make mistakes. We suggest that by being more empathetic toward ourselves, we can break the cycle of self-criticism that often leads to self-sabotaging behaviors. Instead of punishing ourselves for not being perfect, we can offer ourselves grace and forgiveness, which fosters personal growth. Harnessing emotions for growth. Finally, Wiest highlights that emotional intelligence isn't just about managing negative emotions. It's also about harnessing the power of all emotions for growth. Emotions are a valuable source of information that can guide us toward what we need and what is important to us. For example, feeling frustrated in your job might be a sign that it's time to seek a new challenge or pursue a passion. Wiest encourages readers to pay attention to their emotions and use them as a compass for personal development. Rather than avoiding or suppressing emotions, we should listen to what they are telling us and take action based on that information. By doing so, we can transform emotions from something that hinders us into something that empowers us. Chapter 7. Transforming Pain into Power. In Chapter 7, Brianna Wiest explores how we can take the emotional pain we experience in life and transform it into personal power. She explains that everyone goes through difficult times, whether it's loss, failure, rejection, or disappointment. But what truly matters is how we respond to that pain. Wiest argues that pain, when approached with the right mindset, can be a powerful catalyst for growth, resilience, and transformation. The nature of pain. Wiest begins by explaining that pain is a natural part of the human experience. Everyone will face challenges, heartbreak, or setbacks at some point in their lives. However, many people are conditioned to view pain as something to be avoided or ignored. In fact, much of our self-sabotage stems from a desire to escape pain, whether it's emotional, mental, or physical. We procrastinate, avoid difficult conversations, or engage in unhealthy coping mechanisms because we want to avoid discomfort. We suggest that instead of running from pain, we should see it as a teacher. Pain has a unique ability to show us where we need to grow, what we need to change, and where we are out of alignment with our true selves. For example, the pain of a failed relationship might highlight unresolved personal issues or unmet emotional needs. By reflecting on that pain, we can learn valuable lessons that help us improve future relationships. Embracing pain as part of the process. Wiest explains that pain is an essential part of the process of transformation. Just like how muscles need to be broken down in order to grow stronger, we need to go through painful experiences in order to develop resilience, wisdom, and personal power. She emphasizes that the most successful and fulfilled people in life are often those who have faced and overcome significant challenges. To embrace pain as part of the process, Wiest encourages readers to shift their perspective on hardship. Instead of seeing pain as something negative or destructive, we should see it as an opportunity for growth. When we accept that pain is part of the journey, we are less likely to engage in self-sabotage and more likely to push through difficult times with a sense of purpose. Letting go of the victim mentality. A key point in this chapter is the importance of letting go of the victim mentality. Wiest explains that one of the reasons people stay stuck in self-sabotaging patterns is because they adopt a mindset of victimhood. They believe that life happens to them, rather than taking ownership of their circumstances. While it's normal to feel powerless during times of struggle, staying in this mindset only prolongs suffering. Wiest argues that to transform pain into power, we must shift from a victim mentality to an empowered mindset. This means taking responsibility for how we respond to challenges and recognizing that we have the power to create change, even in difficult situations. It doesn't mean that we are to blame for everything that happens to us, but rather that we have the agency to decide how we move forward. Turning pain into purpose. One of the most empowering ideas Wiest presents is the concept of turning pain into purpose. Many people who have gone through difficult experiences, such as losing a loved one, battling illness, or experiencing failure, find a deeper sense of meaning by using their pain to help others. Wiest encourages readers to ask themselves, how can I use my pain to contribute to something greater than myself? For example, someone who has struggled with addiction might use their experience to mentor others who are facing similar challenges. Or someone who has gone through a traumatic loss might turn their pain into a creative outlet, such as writing, art, or advocacy. By finding a purpose in our pain, we transform it from something that holds us back into something that propels us forward. Resilience through acceptance. Wiest concludes the chapter by emphasizing that resilience is built through acceptance. The more we accept that pain is an inevitable part of life, the more resilient we become. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up or resigning ourselves to suffering. Rather, it means acknowledging that pain is part of the process and choosing to move forward with strength and purpose. When we stop fighting against pain and start embracing it as part of our journey, we free ourselves from the cycle of self-sabotage. We learn to trust that no matter what challenges we face, we have the power to overcome them and emerge stronger on the other side. Conclusion. The Mountain is You by Brianna Wiest offers a profound exploration of the ways we unconsciously undermine our own potential through self-sabotage. By recognizing the patterns of self-sabotage, we can learn to confront the deeper emotional wounds that drive these behaviors. Wiest encourages us to view our challenges not as external obstacles, but as reflections of the inner mountain we must climb. This internal mountain is made up of our fears, insecurities, and unresolved pain. Through each chapter, Wiest guides us on how to harness emotional intelligence, develop resilience, and transform our emotional pain into a source of personal power. The journey isn't about avoiding discomfort or bypassing difficult emotions, but about leaning into them, learning from them, and ultimately growing through them. She emphasizes the importance of understanding our emotional triggers, regulating our emotions, and embracing pain as a necessary part of the process of transformation. One of the most powerful messages in the book is the idea that self-sabotage is a signal, not a failure. It shows us where we need to focus our healing and where we are ready to grow. As we work through these barriers, we not only overcome self-sabotage, but also unlock our potential to live a more fulfilled and empowered life. The core takeaway from The Mountain is You is that the mountain isn't something external to conquer. It is within you. And as you work to climb this internal mountain, you'll find that your greatest adversary becomes your greatest ally. Through self-awareness, compassion, and perseverance, you can transform your life, leaving behind the patterns that have held you back and embracing the future you're truly capable of creating. This book is an essential guide for anyone looking to break free from self-limiting behaviors and rise to their full potential. If you found these insights from The Mountain is You helpful, make sure to grab your own copy using the link I've provided in the description below. This book is packed with wisdom that can truly help you overcome self-sabotage and transform your life. Don't forget to like this video, share it with others who might need this message, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful book summaries and self-development content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.